While the world's attention was split across a dozen different crises, something happened that nobody is talking about. Russia just moved military personnel into Venezuela, not advisors, not trainers, combat-ready forces. And what's worse, everyone saw it coming and nobody did anything to stop it. This isn't speculation. This isn't a prediction. This is a fundamental shift in how power operates in the Western Hemisphere. And if you think this is just about Venezuela, you're already two moves behind. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Jonathan Fink. Let's start with what you've probably heard, because it matters not because it's wrong, but because it's incomplete. The official story goes something like this. Russia is supporting Nicolas Maduro. They have geopolitical interests in the region. They want to maintain their foothold in Latin America as a counterbalance to American influence. It's realpolitik. It's expected. It's Cold War nostalgia playing out in a new era. And none of that is false. Russia does have interests in Venezuela. They do want to maintain influence, but here's where the narrative collapses under scrutiny. This explanation treats the move as reactive. It frames Russia as a player trying to hold territory they already possess, the way you might defend a chess piece that's under attack. That's not what's happening. What we're actually watching is something far more deliberate. Russia isn't defending Venezuela. Russia is using Venezuela as a launching point, and the difference between those two things changes everything about what comes next. Here's the part nobody wants to address: the timing. Russia didn't send troops to Venezuela last year. They didn't send them 5 years ago when Maduro's regime was already crumbling. They sent them now, in 2025, when sanctions on Russia are tightening, when their own military is stretched thin in Ukraine, when by every rational measure they should be consolidating resources, not expanding commitments. This is where things get uncomfortable. When a powerful actor makes a move that seems strategically irrational, when they commit resources they can't afford to spare, it usually means you're not seeing the full picture. It means they've identified an opportunity with a deadline, a window that's closing. And that window is political instability across Latin America. Right now, there's genuine uncertainty in multiple countries. Economic pressure is mounting. Faith in institutions is collapsing. Social unrest is rising. This isn't the environment for major power plays. It's the environment where major power plays become possible, because when people are desperate, when they're frustrated with their governments, when they're questioning whether the system can work, that's when external actors can move without triggering the kind of unified response that would normally shut them down. Russia understands this, and they're moving while the opportunity exists. But there's another layer, and this is critical. America's attention is elsewhere. The United States is managing crises across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia simultaneously. The military infrastructure that would normally be mobilized to respond to Russian expansion in the Western Hemisphere isn't available. The political will to escalate another conflict doesn't exist. Russia sees this. They're moving into the gap that America's strategic overextension has created. This isn't aggression born from strength. It's opportunism born from the recognition that American response capacity is at its limit. Let's talk about what Russia is actually building. The military presence in Venezuela isn't about defending Maduro. He's already in power, and the opposition has been effectively neutralized. The troops are there for something different: infrastructure, coordination, establishing the apparatus for what comes next. Here's what matters. Russia is positioning itself as a reliable alternative to American-backed solutions in a region where American-backed solutions have failed repeatedly. They're not offering democracy. They're not offering development. They're offering stability through control, and in an unstable region, that's valuable. But more than that, and this is where the real danger lies. Russia is building a network. Military presence in Venezuela means Russian influence spreads to neighboring countries. It means Russian intelligence assets establish themselves across the region. It means that when the next crisis happens, when the next country's government destabilizes, Russia has the infrastructure in place to move quickly. This is strategic patience married with tactical speed. It's the kind of move that looks small in the moment, but compounds over years. And here's what nobody is saying directly. This is a direct challenge to American hegemony in the Western Hemisphere. For 2 centuries, the United States has operated under an unspoken assumption that Latin America is fundamentally its sphere of influence. You can disagree with that assumption, you can argue it's unjust, but it's been the operational reality. Russia is directly testing whether that reality still holds. If Russia successfully establishes a sustained military presence in Venezuela without triggering American military response, something fundamental changes. It signals that American willingness to enforce regional dominance has weakened. It creates a precedent. It invites other actors, China, Iran, potentially others, to test similar boundaries elsewhere. This is where the narrative gets truly dangerous, because it's not really about Venezuela at all. It's about a world where regional powers can no longer assume American response. Let's be clear about what this actually means for the broader strategic landscape. Russia is overextended, their economy is under pressure, their military is bleeding resources in Ukraine. By conventional measures of strength, this shouldn't be possible. They shouldn't be able to expand commitments. They should be consolidating, but they're not. And that tells you something crucial. They believe the window of opportunity is closing faster than their own decline. They're making moves now because they think the global order is in transition, and you have to move before the transition is complete. Once the new order settles, movement becomes impossible. This is desperation disguised as strategy. It's the behavior of a power that understands it's becoming weaker and is trying to establish facts on the ground before that weakness becomes irreversible. For the United States, this creates a problem with no good answer. They can respond militarily, but that risks escalation they can't afford. They can respond diplomatically, but Russia isn't listening to diplomacy. They can ignore it, but ignoring it sets a precedent that other actors will exploit. Every option has a cost. The question is, which cost is lowest? And that's exactly where the danger deepens, because when you have a situation where every available option carries significant risk, decision-making becomes paralyzed, and into that paralysis, moves happen. This isn't the end of the story, but it may be the end of the illusion. The illusion is that American power operates without friction, that spheres of influence are static, that regional challengers lack the will or capacity to push back. This moment in Venezuela, quiet, deliberate, almost invisible to most people watching, is that illusion cracking. What comes next depends on choices that haven't been made yet. Will the United States respond? How? Will other actors test similar boundaries? Where? These questions don't have clean answers because we're in the gap between 2 different world orders. The old one, where American regional dominance was unquestioned, is clearly weakening. The new one, whatever replaces it, hasn't fully emerged yet. Venezuela is just the visible manifestation of that transition, and the sobering reality is this: transitions between great power orders are historically the most dangerous moments. They're when calculations fail, when miscalculation becomes possible, when the old rules no longer apply, but the new ones haven't been established. Russia just made a move that tests exactly those boundaries. The question isn't whether they were right to do it. The question is, what happens when the move goes unanswered? That's what you should be thinking about.